Let's learn the history of Queen Esther, who lost her parents in her childhood and, according to the will of God, came to the kingdom of King Ahasuerus, which spread from west to east. Queen Esther's original name was Hadassah. The name Hadassah means compassion. She was from the tribe of Benjamin. Hadassah's family was also taken when Nebuchadnezzar took Judah's king Jeconiah into his country as slaves. It was at that time Hadassah lost her parents. Mordecai, Hadassah's younger father's son, raises his younger sister Hadassah. Hadassah is a very beautiful and has a beautiful appearance. The king Ahasuerus held a great feast for 7 days in his 127 kingdoms. On the seventh day, he sent servants to his queen Vashti to display her beauty in the feast. When they went and said this, Vashti did not obey the king's order. The king consults some of the workers in his palaces and position of queen and make another woman more worthy than Vashti as queen. The beautiful maidens of his kingdom are drawn into the king's castle. In that order, Hadassah is also brought to the king's city, and then his elder brother Mordecai tells his sister some precautions. Mordecai names Hadassah as Esther. The meaning of the name Esther is hidden. In this way, the maiden admitted to the royal city are decorated for 6 months with goparasa oil and 6 months with spices and are brought to the presence of the king according to their share. In this way, the responsibility of preparing them was given to Haggai. Of all the women who came to the harem, Esther was favored by Haggai. When Esther's turn came, she did not act as she wished, but adorned herself with what Haggai had appointed for her. Esther goes to the king in the 10th month of 7th year. The king loves Esther and also gets the king's favor. The king puts the crown on her and appoints her as queen. Esther obeys Mordecai's word and doesn't tell anyone her race or lineage. In the king's palaces, there was a ruler named Haman. All who sat at the king's gate bowed to Haman, but Mordecai did not bow because he was a Jew. For this reason, Haman had all the Jews killed, and he prepared a gallows of 50 cubits to hang Mordecai. Haman tells the king about his plot and blames it on the Jews. The king issues a decree to kill all the Jews. As a result of this, Mordecai tore his clothes, tied a sackcloth, and went to the middle of the town and came to the royal city, weeping profusely. They tell her the work of the queen who saw it. She is very sad and sends clothes to her elder brother, but Mordecai doesn't take them. Esther then sends Hathach to Mordecai. When Hathach approached Mordecai, Mordecai told the king to plead for his people to tell Esther what had happened. In response, Queen Esther says that no one should go near the king without being called. I have not been called for 30 days. There is a royal order to kill those who go without being called. According to Esther's words, Mordecai's answer is that you should not think that you have escaped as long as you are in the royal city. If you do not help, the help for the release of the Jews will come from another source. Mordecai says, all your father's house will perish. Then Esther says, fast for my sake all the Jews, and I will also fast with my handmaidens. I will go to the king. Esther says, if I perish it, perish it. At Esther's word, Mordecai gathers all the Jews and fasts. After fasting for 3 days, she goes to the king. When the king saw Esther, he felt compassion for her and showed her a golden scepter, and she touched the tip of the scepter. The king calls her and says, ask for what you want, and I will give you half of the kingdom. Esther asks You and Haman to come to the feast. I will do. Haman and king come to the feast. King asks the Esther, what is your wish? And Esther tells you to come to the feast again tomorrow. The next day, king and Haman again comes to the feast. The king asks the Esther, what is your wish? Then Esther pleads to save his people, the Jews. After hearing this, the king asks the Esther, who did this deed? And Esther says that our enemy is Haman. Haman is so scared that he realizes that the king is going to do something bad to him and pleads for his life before Queen Esther. When the king came in, he saw Haman lying on the bed where the queen was sitting. The king called the pawns, saying that Haman will force the queen before me. And they came and told the king about the gallows that Haman had prepared. After hearing that, the king hangs Haman on gallows. All that pertains to Haman will also be handed over to Mordecai. Orders are obtained from the king to suspend the death decree issued by the king, and this order is issued in all the king's dominions. All the Jews gather together and feast for 3 days to mark their release. Haman thinks on the 13th day of the lunar month, none of the Jews should remain. On the same day, Haman's sons will be hanged. On the 14th and 15th days, the Jews gave gifts to each other and celebrated those 2 days. The name of their festival is Purim. In this way, Esther was honored with saving her people, the Jews.